Madness, madness. I call it madness, as Prince Buster or Suggs from Madness would sing if they were here in this very seat talking to you, the beloved subscribers to Revista de la Liga. So, tell your friends, punch your enemies. Substack is the place to be. This week we have only 9 games so far, 20 goals, 8 red cards, and some divine Uffizi Gallery in Florence, beautiful creative football. Shocks, rows, and Real Madrid in the soup. Whisper it. Los Blancos, if you don't already know, not only lost their match to Celta in the Bernabeu, but lost 3 players sent off, counting 3, another injured, and were frankly completely outplayed. But could have won because of the chances that they squandered. By the way, the background is Barcelona. I'm not a socio, I'm at the training ground. They've loaned me this room. Jamie Easton already gave you a brilliant off-the-whistle summary of the issues at Betis, where Barcelona stomped away with the points after an 8-goal thriller. So I'll give you an off-the-peg follow-up and remind you that Pedro, the Interceptor Jensen, and I will both be at Camp Nou on Tuesday night to bring you live reaction to Barcelona playing Eintracht Frankfurt. Hansi Flick just admitted that his grandson is an Eintracht Frankfurt fan. The rest of the headlines surround there being a welcome usurper, an outsider in the title race, the Lions roaring again, finally, a let's go going back on Tinder, a red card for the saintly Santi, Espanyol sniffing at the fringes of the Champions League. All of this plus Levante and Osasuna still to come tonight. Mentioning Pedro the Interceptor, last thing he said on Thursday to you was, let's have a good away record. Nostradamus. Okay, let's go. Reverse chronological order, which I think is as good a description of how Madrid are playing as you're going to get. Marca leads their edition with Madrid are lost. Inside, their headline is Celta seal Los Blancos state of crisis. Diario AS, the competition in Madrid, played the eccentric game by titling the edition of today with the Day of the Beast. Figure that one out if you can. But they use subdeck headlines of the worst version of Madrid and Madrid show a horrible version against Celta. For my taste, communicating to you, probably the most significant reaction, I think at least, is the big chief of Diario AS, Jose Felix Diaz, JFD, who has Florentino Perez as a direct patron and has risen up the ranks accordingly. I've mentioned this before. And he writes, a defeat which puts everything in doubt, and adds that the players, but especially Xabi Alonso, are left exposed by the performance. So my question is, where were you when JFD was shot at? Where were you when JFD shot at Xabi Alonso? That will echo through the decades. It's a joke that I didn't carry off. But it means, in my view, that it's a fully authorised verdict, which equally means Madrid's Wednesday night date with Pep Guardiola and his City Slickers does actually carry threat for Alonso's position and his continuity as coach. Look, in case you didn't watch the match, and if not, why the fuck not, see me in my study later. Madrid really didn't combine well, didn't look fluid, they often played with apathy, but on a normal day, some or all of Militao, Gonzalo Garcia or Mbappe, with 2 free headers and a one-on-one chance for the Frenchman, would have scored. Celta's Romanian keeper would have been beaten, and there were other chances. But a proper report of the game would acknowledge that Johnny Giraldez's side, Celta, passed better, created space better. They looked 1,000% confident in their game plan, the strategy, and they looked pretty damn confident that if they could unroll that strategy, they could, if not would, win. Okay, Radu made some pretty rad saves, but as Radroy Keane, who I'm pretty sure watches this regularly, would say, that's his job. Williot Swedberg, a kind of Oscar Wilde of La Liga, all floppy, extravagant, will-of-the-wispishness, who's got nothing to declare about his genius, flicked home the opener off a Brian Zaragoza cross. By the way, our Jamie Easton, I said like Cilla Black, was up at Celta's media day on Friday, and Zaragoza told him that he was relishing the idea of causing an upset at the Bernabeu. And Zaragoza also said that he'd spent a lot of time planning how to do that and how to damage Real Madrid's right back. Anyway, Williot caressed that 1-0 home as if he'd been challenged to provide a Marcel Marceau mind dictionary definition of languid. Now, as Oscar Wilde would say, or would have said, or write for one of his most famous characters, Lady Bracknell, to score one ultra-hippie summer of 68 Woodstock groovy goal might be regarded as good fortune, Mr. Svedberg, or Lady Bracknell, but to score two looks like viciousness. And he did. Madrid were down to 9 men by the time that the liquid Swede sashayed his way around 6'4" Thibaut Courtois. And remember, that's an away day peak hour super saver of a journey to get round the big Belgian. But Svedberg did that for 2-0. And please don't have any sympathy for any of the Madrid players. Fran Garcia, as Alonso pronounced it when his fullback flew into his second bookable challenge. Fran, don't fucking do this to me. Fran Garcia racked up 2 bookings in the time it took for the computer software to log the first one. Carreras insulted the referee twice, 2 yellow cards. Endrick, in his biggest contribution to Madrid's season, leapt off the bench, ran out to insult the referee just in case he was hard of hearing and hadn't really caught what Carreras had already said to him. Red card for the little portly Brazilian, Dani Carvajal, still in injury rehabilitation and still in his street clothes, not stripped for action, not part of the squad, waited in the tunnel and according to the referee's report said, you produced that level of performance and then you're all crying in the press conferences about us, which is a wholly nonsensical references to the fact that it was De Burgos Bengoechea getting lacrimos before last season's Copa final because kids in school were abusing and harassing De Burgos Bengoechea's son thanks to the abuse that Real Madrid TV was giving him. So it wasn't the referee from Sunday night, Danny, what are you talking about? A shitstorm, really. So please, when you talk about this match and its repercussions with your pals, don't let the nonsense and legitimate speculation about Alonso's future at Madrid obscure the fact that, as Pete Jensen predicted, Celta played really very well and deserved their win. Now listen here, this is the only content on Revista de la Liga which we share with everybody free of charge in the hope that you'll support us by clicking on the link and becoming a socio. We genuinely need your support, so big love to the current socios, all of you who week by week have put your hand in your pockets to back us. But I need you guys too. It only costs £3.99 per month or 30 quid from now until July after the World Cup. Please don't hesitate. And can I recommend that you gift a loved one or even somebody who annoys you a season-long subscription to Revista de la Liga. If you buy a Christmas-themed socio package as a present, then I will record you a short Happy Christmas, Happy Holidays video that you can send to the recipient. It'll be personalised. Please click the link right now and give us the support that we need in order to carry on. On with the show, as Grahams are wont to say. Just a blink of an eye ago, 6 weeks and 5 La Liga matches to be exact, Barcelona were limping out of the Bernabeu, having been well beaten, in Catalan they like to say pumped, made to look limper than a wet biscuit and 5 points behind Los Blancos. Now, today, as we speak, you and I, although I'm doing most of the speaking, they're 4 points ahead at the top of La Liga, playing well, and despite the shellacking that they received at Chelsea, and that making them seem super vulnerable, they're the authors of a 9-point swing in those 5 matches, thanks to 5 straight wins and Madrid's very faltering form, 1 in 5 for them. Look, the match was on Saturday. Jamie did a great post-match live for you socios, so I'm not going to go granular on the match. I'm just going to give you some more B12 to put in those hungry veins of yours. Flick sat there that night in Stamford Bridge and said, I'm super confident. I watch this squad all the time. I watch them in training and the football is coming. Then, as those of you who are socios know, I went to training on Friday and Flick, who's admittedly evangelical on the subject of these players, was going through a John Belushi Blues Brothers were on a mission from God moment. There were lights shining down on him and he was hallelujahing. But he was shuddering in infinite joy when he described the quality of Friday morning's training. I'm only teasing a little bit. And even more so when he praised how Lamine had performed out on the Tita Villanova pitch on Friday morning. Form from the squad and from Lamine, which was transferred in how they played in Seville against Betis. And what I want to draw your attention to is that Barcelona are flawed. They aren't better this season compared to last. But Flick was telling the truth. Words you can stand on, evidenced by the quality of performance against Atleti and Betis in the last two matches. He said the good times are coming, and he was right. 2, that was the youngest average age Barcelona since 1930 to take the pitch. Jamie mentioned that, which is a lovely stat. But if we're honest, it can also help explain why sometimes Barcelona look naive, easy to push around physically, and while they constantly opt for fun and frolics over match management. As Macaulay Culkin said to John Candy, bet you didn't think this was coming, in Uncle Buck, I'm a kid, that's my job. Secondly, and I'll bow to nobody here, Barcelona play better football without De Jong and without Lewandowski. Both of them have their role, their importance, that's true. But each of them carries fundamentally inherent flaws, which I'd argue are evidenced when they're absent and the rest of the squad is in good nick and Barca play better. Rooney Bardghji and Marc Barnal are going to make a lot of external critics drool over the next few months. Two very good footballers. And as a little curio, Bardghji shares something with Flick, which is a fan visit to the Camp Nou before they were employed by FC Barcelona. And each of them was much younger. Flick came, 18 years ago to see Barcelona beat Getafe as a guest of Nike when the German was a sports shop owner. And Bardghji came when he was a primary school kid on a weekend visit from Sweden with his folks. And now he's looking first team ready. A terrific goal assist from the right, although he's left-footed, and a fabulous right-footed goal on Saturday, adding to that growing impression that he's ready. Finally, on Tuesday, Spain's champions face a side which turned them over the last time they played Eintracht Frankfurt. Tomorrow night will be the first Champions League football at Camp Nou since Bayern Munich trounced the Blaugrana 3-0 in October 2022. That night, not only was I there, Dino Topmüller was there. He was Julian Nagelsmann's assistant, and he's in charge of an admittedly struggling Frankfurt side this time. The men in white won 3-2 in spring 2022 at Camp Nou to knock Xavi's Barcelona out of the Europa League. But I think revenge beckons tomorrow night. But it's a must-win for Flick's boys, no mistakes. Best of the rest now. Villarreal, of course. Now, they found Getafe naturally a tough bone on which to gnaw. Almost everybody does. But partly that's because Bordalas' side is repulsive in their attitude to petty fouling, which tries to spoil match tempo, to provoke, and let's name it, they're repulsive in cheating by pretending that they've been mortally fouled when a rival runs past them. It's disgusting, and it's also horrible that so few of my fellow professionals call them out on it. The Mounties always get their man, as they say in Canada, and that's what happened to open the scoring at the Madrigal on Saturday. Tajon Buchanan got a peach of an opener, and then, because Milla couldn't take it when the ball hit him, helped get Getafe's best player sent off for Milla's ludicrous hissy fit that he threw. Mikotadze then lobbed, and what a player the Georgian is, lobbed David Soria for the goal of his life and a contender for the Yellow Submarines goal of the season. On to Athletic. They finally played with stung pride and aggression after their atrocious display midweek against Madrid. Their goal was top drawer, a Nico Williams assist for a Berenguer rocket, and frankly, you'd have to ask, and please do ask, Ernesto Valverde, what the hell was he doing playing Williams down the right against Real Madrid, not his best position, and inexplicably not putting him up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, when he was back in the groove against Atleti down the left? Well, fabulous. As for Atleti, they were back on Tinder. Just when you think that you can fall in love again, just when you think you can dare to trust again, you find out that Atleti are on a dating app and trying to pair up with anonymity and soppy blandness. Espanyol. Wow. 2 red cards in this game, one for Rayo, who lost Unai early enough to influence the result and their performance, and another for Espanyol's Dolan, who'd won the penalty, which Bobby Fernandez converted. Now, post-match, and I think this is important, Manolo Jimenez, the lovable Espanyol coach, said, This club is a bit like Valencia, not identical, but similar, and the social pressure on us is immense. A match like the one the other day in the Cup when they lost generates a lot of buzz, and there are already people who make sure that there's pressure on us. Every week it comes, and although we're fifth right now, if we lose at Getafe next time out, there'll be a huge uproar. We have to live with that and compete at the highest level to win, but all this praise for the team's work is because of the players. We're currently ahead of Betis, who beat us here. This team deserves recognition not only from the club but also from the football world, because things have been done phenomenally well, but we are not getting that recognition. Well said, Manolo, you're right. Valencia huffed and puffed at Mestalla against Sevilla, looked beaten for a long time, but when the going gets tough, the tough get scoring, meaning that it was Hugo Duro, Hugo Tough Man, Hugo Hard, literally, who smashed home the added time left-footed equaliser. It's a gorgeous goal. Oviedo, well, a pox on teams like Mallorca who go and play at Oviedo with a defensive mentality when they should go to Carlos Tartiere saying we're going to attack and have fun. There wasn't much in this match apart from once they were exhausted, both Fede Vilas and saintly Santi Cazorla, who turned 41 this weekend and had only been sent off once before, were red carded. The referee recorded the expulsion in his match report for Santi as follows. In the 88th minute, Santiago Cazorla Gonzalez was sent off for the following reason: for making a studs-up tackle on an opponent using excessive force while challenging for the ball. It means a one-match suspension at most, I hope, which he will have to serve against Sevilla on Sunday, December 14th, the day after Santi's 41st birthday. Alaves really merited their win over Real Sociedad, who I didn't think played all that well in a mini Basque derby, and Alaves have now beaten both the Basque Giants 1-0 this season, and Caldets football is very popular at Mendizorroza. The penalty was converted in not much style by Lucas Boye, who's turned into El Glorioso's best striker signing. Elche then trounced Girona, which will serve me right for suggesting to Pedro the Interceptor Jensen that we might be seeing a mini Michel resurgence. He sneered and snorted at me, and he was right. Elche were significantly better, and the Martin Valero Stadium was hotching full, meaning in Scottish it was packed and noisy. Rafa Mir, what an odd man, scored twice, but the big takeaway is that if Girona want to stay up, they need a better goalkeeper. There were two howling mistakes, again, from Gazzaniga, and to quote John Cleese in the famous Monty Python Pet Shop sketch, he's an ex-keeper. Lovely plumage though. See you soon. Sign up to become a socio. Gift us for Christmas. Now, please, and stay tuned.